What's up everyone, today let's take a look at Wargroove and see if it lives up to the standards set by Advance Wars. But before we get into the review, if you're a fan of short and sweet game reviews and you like finding some new indie games to play, then don't forget to subscribe. Can we just appreciate how awesome the intro is for Wargroove? It is just amazing. Wargroove is a turn-based strategy RPG, very similar to Advanced Wars. I feel like it was designed for the fans of Advanced Wars, and it certainly tugs on the nostalgia strings for me personally. The main thing that made me want to play Wargroove was the visual look of it. The pixel art has been crafted perfectly, and all of the animations just look so smooth, it's so nice. I think the story is very well written. I like the humour, especially in the Caesar side missions. They just made me chuckle, it was great. The games or battles or matches or however you want to call them are really fun. The maps are massive, like some of them are huge, they take you ages to get from your base to their base, so it really inspires some tactical thinking. The unit selection is great. I like how it's not just a rock, paper, scissors mechanic like on some other turn-based strategy games, although there is still some units that act as counters to other units. My only gripe with the units is there's no specific units for specific factions. I feel like this would have been a really nice addition to the game. It would have just helped add another layer of depth for the factions to each have their own. The commanders I think are all great. I love how they have their own abilities. I'm glad they're not just an overpowered version of a standard unit. I like the effect that the environment has on your units. Depending on where you're stood will depend on what defense bonus you get. So if you stood in the woods, you get a higher defense bonus than if you stood on the road, for example. It makes you think a bit more about where you want to place your units in relation to the enemy's units. Especially if you've got a lower health unit than your enemy, you might want to consider putting your unit in the woods or in the mountains so they have a higher chance of surviving against that enemy. I love the health mechanic where if your unit is damaged, you'll deal less damage to the opponent. You need to consider if your unit's going to survive, do I need to pull it back and get it healed? It's just nice to have to make you think about things other than just pushing forward. I am aware though that not everyone would have been a fan of that because it does prolong the matches just a little bit. I love all the characters and their personalities. It felt like they were all an individual and not just another blop on the screen. I found the partial voice acting hit and miss at times. I really liked it in the cutscenes. I thought it made them a little bit more entertaining, but when you're actually in the match, it gets a bit repetitive. I feel like there needed to be more variation in some of these instances. For example, if you've got a commander that's getting attacked by 5 enemy units and there's a chance that they're going to play the same animation and same sound over it every time, it gets a little bit annoying. Whereas if there was a few versions of that soundbite when you're getting attacked, it wouldn't be as repetitive. The character designs are all interesting. Ragnar is great. I love how she's like a patchwork soldier. But let's be real here, my favourite character is Caesar. He's a dog, but he's by far the best character. I love how when you attack with him in the matches, he gets all happy and his 2 crossbowmen do all the damage. It's great. I feel like the difficulty curve in Wargroove was fair. It's not too hard. Some of the side missions were very hard, actually, but the main story is fine. It's challenging, but not too challenging, and it definitely eases you into it. The mechanics are easy to pick up as well, so that's not a problem. I do feel like it's a great entry-level strategy game. It's charming, it looks great, the story's fun, it's easy to pick up. I definitely recommend it. So what am I going to score Wargroove? I am going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. I would have definitely given it higher if there was just that extra layer of depth. Well, that's it for this week's review. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Until next time, ta-ta for now.